just a bloke in a bar.
You know what's weird is like when I grew up, I didn't know I was weird.
Yeah, right.
So like when people go, I'm such a weirdo, real weirdos don't know they're weird.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Like even now, like I don't know, I don't even know if people still do think, I mean, I assume they do, but like I don't feel weird. You know, like I don't feel like I'm strange. I feel like really normal.
Yeah. Well, you're being you.
I know, but do you understand?
I get what you mean.
Like I don't, but people are like, oh fuck, it's weird. It's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm super normal.
There's a difference between actually being weird or being different and those people that try to be weird to be.
Well, yeah, then they're trying to be weird to fit in because then they're
That's
like,
right.
I'm so unique, but everyone's unique. It's whatever. But yeah, I remember I've said it on the podcast before, but I'll never forget it. It's a couple of years into my NRL career and Barrow pulled me aside, Sean Berrigan.
Yeah.
And like I was struggling to fit in with the boys. And again, I at the time, I didn't understand why I didn't fit in. Like I just didn't get it. I was like, well, if I just be nice enough to these boys, like for long enough, I'll fit in. Anyway, so I'd played a bit of NRL and he pulled me aside at the Normby Hotel. I remember it like it was yesterday and like grabbed my like kind of shoulder shirt and it was like, listen, man, you're a bit of a weird cunt, but we respect you. You play good footy and we respect you.
You're a bit of a weird cunt.
I was like, what the hell? I don't feel like I'm weird.
How'd you feel after that? Like, were you stoked after that?
Stoked.
Yeah.
Stoked. Because it was tough, man.
Yeah.
It was tough. Like, and not tough in the sense of like, I'm a victim. Feel sorry for me. That fucking carry on. Like, so it was just tough because I wanted to be really liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wanted them to see how much I cared about them.
And so you didn't understand why?
I didn't understand why.
Right.
Like I was desperate for them to really see how much I cared about them and how far I'd be willing to go on the footy field for them. But they didn't see it. But like growing up, with soccer, all the rep coaches and they always said like the one thing that he needs to work on first of all is left foot. So I was a right footer. So they just said need to work on left foot, touch kinda, but not really. So they wanted me to be ambidextrous. But the only other thing I always got feedback on was body language. They're like, body language, he doesn't look like he wants to be here. And it would make me crazy because I'd be like, this is like
really
everything I want. What do you mean I don't want to be here? So I had to really work on body language. Like, and then even when I got into league, it was the same problem.
But was the body language like an anxiety thing? Or is this just what you were?
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I mean, like, I guess I look grumpier than I am. I guess I look angrier than I feel inside.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm used to it now, but certainly when I first met you, I was like, the fuck?
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
Fuck, man. That's the thing.
And I tell you what was crazy. And again, I'm completely used to it now, but like you'd come in and I'd be like, oh, must be in a like a shit mood or whatever.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you fucking turn that camera on, it was like bang, totally different person. Yeah.
What the
Not so
hell,
much
man?
anymore. Not so much anymore. But like, or again, maybe because I'm used to it. But yeah,
Well,
when I
because
first-
you know me now.
Yeah, because I know you. But
So
yeah,
you know whether I'm actually really in a shitty mood or whether I'm not.
for sure. But yeah, at the start, for sure. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
What the hell, man? It's just like, I don't get it. It's just my face. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm not I hate that. Like, hey, man, how you going, bro?
Yeah.
How's your weekend, dude?
I tell you what, one of the first things you said to me was like, I hate fucking like calling people and like having small talk on the phone. I'm like, thank God, I fucking hate that. So I know I get it. Like to be polite to someone, you're like, hey, how you going?
Yeah, of
blah,
course.
blah, blah. But like when I text you now, I didn't say, can we just say whatever?
Oh,
it's like an ongoing conversation.
Yes, no. What do you need? I just
Yeah, I'm with ya.
maybe it's a bloke thing. I don't know. And well, clearly I'm bad at it, really bad at it. But like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
I
No
don't
mucking around.
You don't give a fuck how my day was.
Yeah.
Don't pretend like you give a fuck. And honestly, unless something's wrong and I can help you, like for example, you like, mate, I had a really bad day. I'm upset. Fucking oath. We can talk about it as long as you want.
Yeah.
But like, oh man, like I was late to this and I was late to that. I don't give a fuck, bro.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Because I hate whinging. Because that's what small talk usually delves into. Small talk always eventuates whinging.
For sure.
Like, and I just does my head in.
For sure. And especially in a workplace, like we're trying to be efficient here.
Yeah, we're trying to get it done. And like, bro, you know I care about you.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's why like I fucking gonna get all corny here.
Yeah.
But it's why I love my wife so much is she's like the first person in my life that immediately knew how I was feeling and what I could offer.
Yeah.
The first, like that was for my whole life. And it sounds stupid to say because like, look at how great life is. And it's almost, that's why it's always, I remember the first time that I went out, we went to a festival, this was years and years ago. And like all these people like, you know, bloke, big, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you all actually like me this much? What the fuck? Like, it was shocking to me because I'd been so used to like going through life with me going, fuck, I wish they just knew how much I actually cared about the situation.
Yeah, right.
But I don't want to be like, bro, I care so much, man. You know, I just let my actions do the talking.
Sure.
That's the way I always saw it. Yeah, but I don't know. I can't change. That's just like who I am, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
That part of you, I'm the same as well. Like
Yeah.
I don't muck around with small talk ever.
Well, no, but I mean like looking like in a shitty mood.
Yeah, no.
But not being in a shitty mood.
Yeah, I know.
Because like I've never walked in here and been like, fucking hell, Matty.
Nah, never.
Like literally never.
But like, and maybe that's the whole Berrigan thing. Like, okay, maybe they know you now a bit and they realise this is who you are. It just takes people a while to warm up.
Because that's the thing. So at the Broncos, like, yep, and it meant everything to me because like finally like they see how much I care. Because that's all I kept thinking is like, they don't like, I will fucking do anything for the boys. Like whatever the fuck they want, I'll get it done. But they just never really felt that way. And it's clear that's my fault. And I always knew it was my fault. I was never like, oh, I feel sorry for me. And so I went away to the Warriors and everything like has all this off-field stuff, like, you know, really bad relationship. And I didn't put myself out there and I really regretted it. Like that I just continued on that path of like hoping that they would see that I really cared. Cause like I remember the Warriors rang the Broncos and were like, how do you get this guy to like show he cares?
Really?
Yeah. How do you get this?
Fuck,
like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like how do you get him to like show he cares? And when I found out that I was like, what? I was like, man, I cared. Like I cared.
Yeah.
I just show through my actions.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a big play to be made or a chase to be done, like I'll always be anyway. And so everything happened to Warriors, and I really regretted like not putting myself out there so they could see who I was. So they could, and it clearly probably stems from all the bullying that I copped at school and shit. Like very lonely childhood. So that's probably the fucking reason. But anyway, so when I went back to the Broncos, I was like, nah, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be Larry. I'm going to like get into the banter. I'm going to talk shit. I'm going to fucking spray the boys and just fully go all out. Like, and because it was always in me.
Yeah.
I just didn't do it because I just didn't know how it would all land in that.
Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, went back to the Broncos and I just started like talking shit. Like, honestly, so I went back to the Broncos initially and then, you know, really put myself out there, really good stuff. Went away again. The third time I went back to the Broncos, I swear they kept me in that first grade squad because I would just tell stories on the Monday review session to get the boys happy because we used to do this thing called Keith of the Week.
Yeah.
And everyone got to a point where they were too scared to tell like on another person. So Keith of the Week essentially, did you see someone doing something rotten? Like, you know, did you see one of the boys telling a chick that he played for the Broncos? Stuff like that, real rotten stuff. Anyway, so it got to a point where none of the boys would dob on each other because then they would get dobbed on the week after. So they would fucking, I'd be sitting there. I hadn't been out, hadn't done anything. And they'd be like, fucking Kempy, fuck, what'd you do? We know you did something right and you know it. And then they'd G it up, like they'd all be yelling at me like, fucking get up, can't, rah, rah. I'd make a story up on the spot. I'd be like, man, hooked up with like 3 chicks, man. I just told him like he scored 4 tries for Para. It was the fucking best night ever against Para. Like told him I was this close to Origin. Like just full on porkies.
Yeah.
The biggest lies ever. Like things like just the biggest lies you've ever heard in your life. And the boys would be fucking loving it. And I swear they kept me around just for those poor. And to make it even worse, they knew it was lies, but they still gave me Keith of the Week every week.
Yeah, nice. So when you came back to Brisbane, did the people that were there when you were there the first time, did they comment to you, you're a fucking different person?
They in a roundabout way were just like, just totally different.
Yeah.
But it was just because, I know people put shit on me for the soccer thing and you know, like I always bring it up, but I feel like I don't. But anyway, the soccer thing, I don't think you understand how different it was for me. So for you, for example, when you and Guru talk about junior footy, like remember before the show the other day?
Yeah.
And I said to you guys, you don't understand. That doesn't exist to me. I had nothing to do with rugby league growing up. Like nothing. I didn't go and watch any games. I don't know any of the good teams going up, the good areas, nothing. I was purely in soccer. Like my plan when I was younger was as soon as I finished school, I'd go over to England with my brother and we start playing soccer. And he ended up getting a contract offer from Norwich, which is just underneath the Premier League. And so the plan was that he would at least get me in the door to get trialled at some, or start in local league and then hopefully go up from there. You know, maybe I wouldn't have made it. I don't know. Like he got offered a contract from Norwich.
Yeah.
But the reason why I didn't end up going over there was because he got homesick, and because my dad's like fully into education, and you know he worked at Catholic education helping like disadvantaged kids and blah blah blah. So he didn't understand like the politics of sport, and he didn't do sport at a really really high level. So he didn't understand. Whereas if we could go back to that time, my dad would have been firmer and said, "No, mate, you need to stay over there because you're like it sucks. It's gonna be lonely, blah blah blah, or a different way could do it if we had more money, because we didn't have any money. Maybe we could have sent my mum over there, or my dad, you know what I mean? Because like if he is in Norwich at 18, which is one under the Premier League, the average wage is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's huge.
Yeah, massive.
At 18. So there's a chance that he could have potentially made a squad eventually. I don't know. And so, yeah, he came back. Eventually he ended up having a stretch fracture in his back. So maybe it all worked out well. He's a doctor, massively successful now. So when that all fell through, that's when, like, at the same time, I was mucking around playing footy with my mates. And so that's how that all came about. Like, there was no part of me that was like, oh, I'm going to play rugby league. Like, I'll be honest, I disliked rugby league. I thought it was a brutes game. I thought it was a stupid game growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was just so into soccer. Like, I was so deep in it. It's crazy.
So, like, I know you have told the story a little bit, but like, how long was it, like, seriously, when you played your first game of footy into being in the Broncos?
Well, it's okay. So when I was in year 6, I played footy for my school, just a nothing school.
Yeah.
Made South Coast. Then they're like, when I made South Coast and we went away to state, Darius Boy was in the side, I'm pretty sure. Went away to state. They kept asking me, you got to come play at this club. I was like, no. And then didn't play any more footy. So, like, I played maybe 10 games in that season. 10 games. Didn't play any footy, but actual footy, not school footy with a non-footy school. So, like, then got all the way till year 11 or 12. So it's like that. In that whole time, I'm purely focused on soccer and all the Queensland stuff, blah, blah. Got to year 12, played the school carnival. So you're looking at, like, let's just say 10 games, being super generous. But that's not actual footy, because we're in the B comp. So our front rowers are like 80 kilos.
Yeah.
It's not actually, it's footy, but it's not. When we're talking about like actual under 19s playing, for the under 19 Broncos side, which was West at the time, and you're playing genuine rugby league with positional, like people playing certain positions because that's what they suit, would have been, so 2005, played.
Jeez.
So I've told the story before, so I'll tell it really quickly. At the start of 2005, I was only supposed to be signed with the Broncos for the under-19 side, so to train with them.
Yeah.
I rocked up to training one day, and they said, we want you to come and train with our Clydesdale side, which Broncos reserve grade side. So they brought me in, and that's the first time I ever saw Petro Civoniceva and Wayne Bennett at the club. And so they're like, we want you to train with our Clydesdale side. So we went down to the Clydesdale training instead of the under-19s, never trained with them. Went down to Clydesdales. There was a big circle with the reserve grade coach talking to all the new recruits coming out of school into this under-19 Clydesdale's reserve grade squad. And these were guys that had made state. So and we're talking about 2005 Broncos. So we get the best of the best.
Yep.
And so there's a big circle with all the under the school kids that have come out, all guns, like the best players that you can fucking get out of school. And the coach went person by person and was like, you're ready to play reserve grade. You're ready to play reserve grade. You're in reserve grade, obviously Queensland Cup.
Yep.
The only person that he said, "You are not ready to play reserve grade," was me.
Wow.
Because I was a little skinny soccer player.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just was like, when you're young, you're naive and you just fully back yourself. I was like, yeah, right, whatever. I disagree, whatever. I didn't say it to his face, obviously. I was like, yeah, sweet. In my head, I was like, I just agree. Then we started training. First 2 tackles, shoulders start cramping up because I have no muscles there. Now, you obviously probably remember that story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so out of that whole group, all guns, I was the only one to play reserve grade the last 7 games.
Fuck. Wow.
Yeah. So 7 tries in 7 games. Then
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm just going like, this is playing for the Clydesdales. Like, this is crazy, you know. But in my head, I was just like so confident of my athletic ability that it was like, this is just the way it's supposed to be. Looking back now, you're like, this is insanity.
I was going to say, so obviously in hindsight, it's crazy small amount of time. But like when you're a kid, did it seem like it was a quick progression?
No, I was too impatient. It was a gift and a curse. It's obviously, if I had have known how crazy the decision was, I never would have gone to a league. I would have stayed in soccer.
Yeah.
And, you know, done what I did. Anyway, so at the time I was just so confident in my ability, like unbelievable confidence that I'd just be able to pick it up. So that season ends. We're in the off season. We're about to head back into the next season, and I'm on $25,000. So the first season I was on $4,000. Second season, $25,000. And I'm supposed to be training with Clydesdales again.
Yep.
Anyway, so
is this coming into 06?
This is 06.
Yep.
This is 06. So 05 into 06.
06,
So 05, I'm sitting at South Bank in Brisbane with my, you know, young girl, like we were both young girlfriend and boyfriend back then, obviously 1,000 X's ago. And I get a phone call from Ivan Henjak, which was the assistant, I'm pretty sure the assistant Broncos coach at the time.
Yep.
And he goes, first grade coach, and he goes, hey mate, Brett Seymour has done his shoulder. We want you to come on a camp. It's a bonding camp. You get to meet all the first graders. Obviously you haven't met most of them because in that time, Resis didn't come. We didn't train even close to first grade. We trained out in Aspley. They train in Red Hill. It's like 40 minutes away. So we don't mix at all unless you're in the top squad and you come back later in the week to train with reserve grade.
Yep.
Anyway, so I was like, honestly, almost in tears. I'm like, to that XXX Mrs. I was like, I'm going to meet all the Brisbane Broncos first graders. I cannot believe it. This is crazy. So he's like, look, it's just going to be for the camp. Come away. We just want you to meet them, say hi, and then you go back to Clydesdales. Anyway, so he's like, pack your boardies, pack your singlets. It's going to be a great time. That's when I rocked up and we got ambushed by the army camp.
Oh, that was that camp. So I actually didn't realize that camp was before you played.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay.
So I'm 18 at the time, barely been in rugby league, had no idea about army camps, and then I didn't know what army camps were.
Fuck.
I didn't know what army camps were. Never heard of them before. And then all of this shit is just happening. Whereas all the other boys, the first graders, they'd have done army camps before, not as crazy as this one, but they'd done it before, so they'd kind of know what was going on. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any of the boys. I didn't know what an army camp was. So I'm getting stripped down on the Brisbane Broncos paddock, naked, going like, what is happening? I'm just doing what everyone tells me to do. They tell you to put your phone away, and then we get taken away for 6 days for the hardest army camp I've ever done. And
6 days is a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. And then, I don't know, I must have done okay because that's what got me into the first grade squad.
Yeah, of course.
So I wasn't supposed to go, but after the camp, you know, they rang me up and said, we want you to come in and be with the first grade squad from now on out.
Jeez, I didn't realize it was 406. Wow, that is wild.
Fuck, wild. And I look back now, I'm like, how did you get through that?
So then so obviously you play 06 in Reggie's. Did you debut in 07?
So 06, I was 18th man, and then there was one time where I wasn't 18th man. This is how raw I was. So I was playing Clydesdales at the time. I was Queensland Cup top try scorer. This is how raw I was.
Crazy. Yeah.
Wayne Bennett selected the local league winger. His name was Gideon Mazembe. He was a good friend of mine. So you've got first grade, reserve grade, and then you've got under 19s. But then anyone who's too old for under 19s, they play in the local league.
Yep.
So he selected him as 18th man over me, even though I was the reserve grade winger at the club, and the other reserve grade winger was playing as well. So I was the next guy in line.
Now probably makes sense to you now, but at the time, how did that make you feel?
I remember he announced a team. Everyone was stoked for Gideon. I was stoked for Gideon as well. I walked straight out of my car and I started crying.
Yeah, of course.
Because I couldn't believe...
Because it makes no sense, really.
Because I was so angry and I couldn't believe that he didn't believe that I could get it done, and like that... like, think about it. You're the reserve grade winger. You've been brought in the first grade. This guy's not even in the first grade squad, I don't think, like full time. And he got pulled in as 18th man above you. That's how raw I was as a player.
Yeah, and again, looking back, it makes sense. But at the time, you're just like, this doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. There was no explanation or anything. It was just like Gideon. Anyway, so yeah, and then I'm pretty sure later in the year I was 18th man, a real late notice. So I was out. So we just played Clydesdales, and I was at my mate's house. All the boys, we always used to go there. We were all drinking, and so we're drinking. I was maybe 2 or 3 deep, and let's just look, 2 or 3 drinks deep.
Okay.
And I get a call from Andrew G, and he's like, "Mate, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh yeah, no, nothing, just chilling." And he's like, "Mate, we need you on the next flight down to Sydney. Tatey's got an injury scare." And so I was like, fuck. So left what I was doing, went straight home. The next, like immediately left. Whatever I was doing, dropped everything, walked out the door, and left.
Yep.
Went home, caught the first flight down to Sydney. They played, I'm pretty sure, the Bulldogs.
Yep.
And then so after the game, we all went out. We got back, and they made me sleep in the hallway.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Fuck, how brutal.
So they made me sleep in the hallway because one of my roomies was hooking up with a chick.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Mate, just 5 minutes, bro." And he was, he's a first grader.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, yeah, sweet." Anyway, so I slept out in the hallway the whole night.
Man, footy teams are ruthless.
It was ruthless. And so, but back in those days, you don't say shit. I was yeah, whatever, all good, I'll do it. And then I slept out. And then, anyway, so yeah, and then obviously made my debut in 2007 the next year. Crazy.
Wow. It's a crazy story when you think about it.
It's like because soccer is so different to league. Like union to league, it's obviously tough, but it's like much the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's not crazy, but
it's a similar
soccer to league,
sport.
it's a similar sport. There's contact, there's tackles, there's passing. Whereas soccer to league, it's just like fucking totally different.
Well, think about all the crosscode people like Wendell, Union League, Carmichael Hunt, AFL, like blah blah. There's no rugby league to soccer.
Oh, no way. No way.
Yeah.
The closest, and Herbie was playing footy from a relatively young age, I think maybe 14 or 15. Could you just Google it? I'm pretty it's like 14 or 15. That's the closest that it's come to like a soccer player coming and playing league.
Right, yeah.
Because he was apparently a decent soccer player growing up, obviously Pommy, so they all play good football, but he was a decent one. And I think it was at like 15 or something he started playing league.
Yeah.
Which would have given him a bit of time to, or maybe he played it as well as soccer growing up. But outside of that, I don't know anyone that didn't play league and then and played soccer exclusively and then come over to league.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it was seems like it was similar time. Like he was still playing footy he was playing rugby league in school.
Oh, okay. So it was,
but he was playing soccer well before that. So he was part of the Man United development system before turning to rugby league.
Yeah. But does it have the time there, like the year? As in, was he 14, 15?
It just says he was at school. I can look for it.
Yeah. I think, what I remember, I think he was playing league and soccer, and he was obviously good at soccer. And then it was like 14 or 15 when he said league's what he wants to do.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I'll be able to find it somewhere.
But he's clearly a fucking gun athlete. But outside of that, I don't think there's anyone else that, I don't, for example, I don't think Herbie, from 5 till 17 was playing soccer. And then when he was 17, started playing league.
Oh, no.
But he's so good, Herbie. Far out.
He's he's one of my favourite players
He's
now.
honestly becoming one of my favourite players too. And just how consistent he is.
Yeah.
Just how consistent he is. Anything there?
Yeah. It's a bit of a long article. I'm getting it.
Just the age.
It just says when still a pupil at grammar school, he was taken to Australia and spotted by the Bronx. Yeah, I'll have to find it later.
Taken to Australia and spotted by the Bronx. So he must have been playing league to be taken to Australia and spotted by the Bronx.
Yeah, you'd imagine so.
Either way, fuck, it's
It's
amazing. It's amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, fuck, it'll be good next year. Dolphins.
Oh mate, it'll be so good.
I'm keen for Dolphins next year.
I'm keen to see Herbie's career because he's a good-looking lad. He's turning into a star. I wonder what his personality like. As in, I've met him a few times, so I know what his personality is like. But I wonder whether he'll put it out there to become a superstar. You know what I mean?
You know what? I wonder if he had any similar struggles in the transition to you, just like personality-wise.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, because as I said, it was crazy struggle. So yeah, when I eventually did come back to Bronx, I was like, nah, I'm talking shit. I'm fucking bantering. I'm carrying on. And that's when, so like, if you, for example, if you were a Warriors player and you saw me now, you'd be like, fuck, this is two different people.
Yeah, right.
But the Warriors guy was just a guy that was really afraid to put himself out there.
Yeah.
You know, just like, I don't want to disrespect anyone, or I just want to be nice to everyone and not, step on anyone's toes.
I find it super interesting because, like, I fully get, just like any normal person going to a new workplace and, like, they're nervous, right? But, like, the Warriors was after your big year. So it's interesting to see that you were still a bit like that after the 08 year.
I don't know. Just
how it is.
Just how it is. You got to remember, so 08, bro, started playing footy in 2005.
I know, yeah.
So it's 3 years to change, I guess, your mannerisms and the way you kind of carry yourself or whatever. It's funny because like by just when I decided to quit footy, I was, the team energy, I was the guy that fucking carried on and was like, fuck yeah, boys, let's do it. Just funny how it's just growing up as well,
for sure.
But Jesus Christ, that's a long intro.
Yeah, true.
Bloke Lager, it's on special. All celebration stores across New South Wales and Queensland. Get into your local celebrations. Grab a case of Bloke beer. It's the beer of Australian sport, guys. Get into it. Enjoy it. And you know where it started, baby? It started in this community. This community started this beer. So go and grab a case of Bloke beer, whether it's the midi or the lager, from your local celebrations or Liquor Legends, IGA Plus Liquor, Portals Liquor, Bottle-O, you name it, independent stores stock Bloke beer. Got a segment here that I don't know what it is. It says Reyn eligibility update. And I swear I don't know what this is, but I have a sneaking suspicion my concerns yesterday were correct.
So it's funny you say that. So normally if like I make an error or something happens during the podcast, I'll text you straight away, be like, fuck, this fucked up, whatever. I had a feeling after you all left, I was like, I just had this weird feeling that I couldn't shake. I'm like, is there something I've missed that I was supposed to cut out? Like, I can't remember. So what I did was that there's plenty of time left. Yeah. So I listened back to the whole podcast, did it in 2-speed. I'm like, it was only an hour. I got half an hour. Get to the part where we talk about that. And when I said to you, was he born in New South Wales or Queensland? And I took that as picking a state. And you were like, why are you saying that? I'm like, no, because he's not born in Queensland. It turns out you were right about that.
I was right. Reyn is a Queenslander. It's official.
So that was, yes, you were right. That was for Kiwis and...
Yes!
Now
my son!
I have to provide...
Give me back my son! Give me back my son! New South Wales, give me back my son!
I have to provide some context, and I'll put that bit in this show now. I edited it a little bit. So that part is gone. Yeah. So I did no one heard that. So
no one heard it.
Yeah. So I'm going to put it in this podcast.
Okay, put it in this podcast and put in my strong hang on a sec, what's going on here?
Yeah. So I'll put it in now. This is, were you born in New South Wales or Queensland? If it's a no, which Reyn is, then it has to be, have you resided in New South Wales or Queensland?
No, it's a yes. He was born in New South Wales.
No, because this is
because if he wants to play for Queensland.
Oh, for Queensland.
Yeah.
Well, so if you say, were you born in Queensland? No.
No. And then it's, have you resided in New South Wales or Queensland since prior to your 13th birthday? And then if it's
why do you keep saying New South Wales or Queensland?
Because that's the criteria.
I'm pretty, mate. Keep going. Keep going.
Kevin's wigging out here.
Yeah, he's fucking wigging.
It's dawning on him right now.
I will be in Queensland by the time he's 13.
I don't know.
And then if that's a no, it's father-son rule. But
so there is a father-son rule.
But the father had to have played State of Origin.
Yes.
Mate,
I wish we didn't look that up because you would have been sitting around going, "Oh, we'll go when you're 18, mate."
Yeah.
5 years too late, bruh.
Nah. It's,
Dude,
I'm still iffy on that.
He just looked it up.
But there's players that played.
That was back in the day. They've changed it when all you cunts cheated.
Yeah, when you guys just go to fucking English and everyone else.
Anyway, we'll be moved before he's 13 anyway.
Well,
I don't know.
We will. We
Jesus.
got literally 13 years. I'm not staying down here for 13 years.
You will, bro. You'll
Nah.
it goes pretty quick. How long you been down here
Okay,
now?
what
It's
happens?
already been like
What
10
happens
years.
if you go up, play 1 year as under 13s in Queensland, and then come back down?
Yes. So if you've resided there, I don't know what the definition of resided is, but just say a year, then it's which state did you play majority from years of under 6 to under 18?
So
Majority.
but if you go from 13s to 18s, wouldn't that be less than 6 to 13s?
Doesn't say it on this flow chart here.
See, look, there's holes everywhere. There's holes everywhere, baby.
Yeah, so I'll give you an update. It's still up in the air,
Yeah.
but it's not as clear. That 13 thing, 100% right. That was for
When you aren't born in the country.
For sure, yeah. And you're right. It says, were you born in New South Wales or Queensland? I took that as if you're a Queenslander looking for New South Wales.
yeah.
Anyway, so ignore that. So here are the criteria now. What state were you born in? That's going to be New South Wales. But then it's which state did you play rugby league for the majority of under 6s to under 18s? I don't know what your plans are, but there's plenty of time to maneuver that one around.
Yeah.
Here's the big ones. In which state did you first participate in a junior rep competition?
Boom. That's what I was trying to say
So
yesterday.
that's what you were saying yesterday.
Yeah.
And that, if it, like, you could go up for a year, right, and tick
Yep.
that box for Queensland.
Yeah.
Here's another one. In which state did you play school state rep for the first time?
Boom.
You could achieve both of those in the first year. Then there's in which state did you spend majority of kindergarten to year 12? Again, you can maneuver that however you please. So, like, then it says at the bottom here, application must be made to NRL CEO who will facilitate a review of your circumstance if there's no clear majority, which this is.
Yeah.
And then the last bit was, did your father play state of origin? Obviously, you didn't play state of origin, but like because you did play for Queensland,
Under 19s, yeah.
that like for under 19s, like if it's up for debate to the NRL CEO,
Yeah.
that could be a point
Also,
in your direction.
the NRL CEO has discretion.
Yeah, so if there's no clear majority, the NRL CEO has discretion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good to hear, my boy. He's a Queenslander. And also, we can use the footage of me saying I was trying to have him in Queensland, but I couldn't.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of good updates for yourself for the last 24 hours.
That's a win. I knew I was like, hang on a sec. Like, before you've got to be in the state before 13. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are players that have, grew up in New South Wales and then gone to Queensland.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the good one. That's the good stuff. Now, Josh Addo-Carr twist. Original story, Addo-Carr, swap deal with Madison. Morning Herald is saying this is now unlikely. Dogs haven't ruled out a player swap, but they'd rather a front rower than a back rower. The Knights have now joined the race to get Addo-Carr. While they want him, they wouldn't be willing to release either side of Beatty brothers. The reason of bringing them up is the Dogs previously showed interest in them. The Tigers and Dragons are also keeping an eye on the situation. I tell you what, it's getting into an area where he almost has to leave now.
Yep.
Because the fact that all this is out in the open where they want to swap him, so Sydney Morning Herald is saying Dogs haven't ruled out a player swap, but they'd rather a front row than a back row. So they're basically admitting that they are willing to let Addo-Carr go.
Yeah, of course. Of course, this is all in the
reportedly,
report. But
there's so much fucking smoke.
Yeah, and it seems very obvious that they need a front row forward from all these reports. And if he's been linked with 2 clubs and then 2 other clubs are monitoring the situation, I don't think Fox will beat the Dogs next year.
Yeah, wow. I wonder if Melbourne make a cheeky little play for him.
You know what? I tell you why I don't reckon they can.
Warbrook and Coates.
Well, no, they don't have any front rows to give away.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, if they were willing to just release him and not swap it.
Yeah, potentially.
And then could you move Warbrick in the centres or Coates in the centres? Probably not. I don't know. That's
I wouldn't mind him at Newey, like especially because they've lost Dom Young, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a pretty fair replacement.
Oh, yeah. They've got some good young guys coming through, but if you could have a wing combination of Marju Young, Marju Addo-Carr.
For sure.
It's not bad. That sucks, man, because I wanted Addo-Carr to be a part of their rebuild. It's that's really interesting because is he on a massive wicket and is Serraldo probably loves Fox. Like, who doesn't love the Fox?
Oh, of course.
But maybe Serraldo's saying, we don't pay our wingers this much.
Yeah, possibly. And it's no secret how much of a mess their cap's been the last few years. So maybe it's just a necessity type
But
thing.
also, isn't it like, it's really unfair on the Fox. It's like, but that's why you paid so much for him.
Exactly, yeah.
Because 2 years ago, you were like, had no one. So you had to pay overs for a winger because you needed some kind of star.
That's a good point.
To come to the club.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, when the club's in a better position, and I know they didn't have the best year, but they're definitely in a better spot than they were a couple of years ago.
Absolutely.
Now, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, yeah, thanks, bro. Like, we are going to player swap you or whatever. Now, look, to be fair, the Fox will get his full contract. Most likely, unless they make his life so bad that he's just like, man, I just got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But like, what will probably happen is that he'll either get the same contract at the new club and then the player swap happens,
Yeah.
or the new club will pay part of his contract, the Bulldogs will pay part of his contract. So it's not like he'll be out of pocket, but it does suck that, you know, when you needed the superstar winger just to attract some people, he came.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden when you've been able to recruit, thanks to a guy like Addo-Carr coming to the club, it's like, oh, sorry, bro. Like, and look, I know he's had some off-field stuff, but look, let's be real clear here. If he was a key player, as in their spine or whatever, had the exact same off-field incidents, we wouldn't be hearing anything about it.
Oh, that was...
As in, we would be hearing about it from the public. What I'm saying is Bulldogs would not be upset. Like, they'd be like,
oh, no, this is just an excuse to punny.
it's a massive excuse. Like, the idea that, let's say they had Burton gotten a punch on at the local footy.
Yeah.
Like, do you reckon that they'd be saying, oh, yeah, see you later, bro?
Oh, no, not a chance.
Not a chance.
It's interesting. Like, I know they need front rowers, the Dogs, but it's not like their backline is, like, set or stable. Like, they've got Crichton coming in, who's going to be amazing. But everywhere else is kind of...
Got Kiraz.
But, like, do we even know where he's going to be a winger or centre?
What I'm saying is like, of the whole backlines, you've got Kiraz.
Yeah.
But outside of that, who else is really there that's a top tier?
Yeah, like we're not sure how
the young
Sherry's going
fellas
to go.
coming through, Wilson and that.
Yeah, of course.
But when you come to top tier, one off playing finals footy.
Yeah, and how good would it be to have for the young guys to have Critter and Fox there? So it's going to be a huge loss if they lose him.
Yeah, it's I wonder what's going to happen there because like they've almost forced his hand. Why does Addo-Carr want to play for that club now that he's getting told, bruh, see you later?
Sure.
Look, unless Addo-Carr's the one that come to them and said, I'm not happy, I want to bounce, then I apologise, I got it wrong. But it seems like it's the club going, hey, mate, like if you can find something else. Because this actually has been floating around for a while now. Remember last year there was some yarn about it and they denied it?
Yep.
I got to say, like, this Bulldogs rebuild, it's still a couple of years away.
100%.
It really is. Like, you look at that squad and you just go far out competing. Like, for example, look at the Gold Coast Titans squad. They're not out. They're there outside the 8. And, like, look how exciting that squad is compared to the Dogs.
Oh, for sure.
Like...
Yeah, like you can see the pieces getting in there, like, slowly. But, yeah, we're still years away from the Doggies.
And that's why... I know it's a joke, but you got to stay patient with the Dogs. You really do, because at least there's a plan.
But even Gus says that. Like, Gus literally says the Tigers are in a better position than we are.
Roster-wise.
Salary cap-wise, roster-wise. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're in rough shape. So, yeah, it's going to be...
I'd like to see him at the Knights. Imagine him like a cult figure at the Knights. Especially if they go right next year.
You know how many tries he'd score outside KP?
Bloody oath.
Oh, my God. He would score so many tries. Yeah, I think the Knights would be good. And what's interesting, wasn't Saifidi, one of the brothers, being told that he wasn't going to get...
That's why I wrote it down. That's why I thought it was interesting how the article said Knights don't want to let go of either of them. I thought because there was definitely reports, although a lot has changed for the Knights in the last few months. Like, I remember they were looking at getting rid of Bradman Best a few months ago.
Yeah.
And now he's freaking no chance.
Yeah,
So
that's weird.
Yeah, I think it's extremely weird, but yeah.
All right, huge weekend to be a Kiwi. New Zealand versus Australian cricket, New Zealand versus Australia in the footy, and New Zealand versus South Africa in the World Cup final. Jeez, the Kiwis are killing it.
Love that for the Kiwis.
Like, mate, first of all, I hope they lose to us, but...
Well, yeah.
like... For them to be as good at sport as they are with how little population, it's actually outrageous.
Well, when we talk about the All Blacks, and again, I brought that book up the other day. I highly recommend it, the Legacy one. They're a tiny little country that is the best rugby union team ever, basically.
Crazy.
Like, it's ridiculous.
It's like the fact that, what is it, 2 million people live there or something? Or maybe
I'll Google
more.
it. I'll Google it.
But it's not much. It's not much.
Yeah.
And they're this good at sport. It's actually insane. It's actually insane.
5 million.
5 million people. So there's like 22, 23 million in Australia.
Yeah. And like, we talk about rugby league, they're bloody awesome too. But then cricket, which is the second most played sport in the world, they made the World Cup final in 2015. They made the World Cup final in 2019. So they made the last two. They won the World Test Championship before we did. So the one before we did, they won. I honestly reckon they could make the Cricket World Cup semi-final final again this time. Like, it's crazy how good they're going in.
Well, per capita, they're probably the best sporting country in the world.
They've got to be.
They've got to be.
Yeah, they've got to
Like
be.
the fact that they're even competitive against like our league side
Yeah,
is pretty crazy.
it's wild.
Because you go, okay, not only is it they've got 5 million people, so essentially 4 times smaller, it's not even their main sport.
Yeah.
And they're still competitive against Australia.
Not even their main sport, and out of all the footy codes, not even their main code.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild. Like, we obviously prioritise rugby league here in Australia. If
I mean, you could argue, do we lose players to, is it a better comparison by comparing the population of New South Wales and Queensland to, because that would be about 10 million, I'd say, together maybe, or 8 million.
yeah, possibly.
Yeah, that's probably a better,
Yeah.
that's probably a better comparison actually.
For sure.
And that kind of evens it out a little bit.
But even so, like, imagine if, like, again, we prioritise league. Imagine if they didn't prioritise union and all the All Blacks were eligible for the New Zealand Kiwi side.
Yeah.
Like, what would happen then?
Yeah.
Like, and if they, not if they jumped over now, like if they grew up playing
grew
league.
up playing it for sure. Well, it's kind of like the reverse of, imagine how the Wallabies would go if they had Thurston, Inglis,
Exactly.
Wendell, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, per capita, Kiwis are on top at the moment. Jesus.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, just incredible. And the fact that, cricket it's not just like, oh, they're good at contact sport. Like, cricket's totally different.
The complete opposite.
And they're going decent.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like, what is it, 15 years ago? Didn't they? Like, weren't they terrible at cricket? Like,
Oh,
back in the day?
they were bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't good at all. Speaking of cricket, Hammy clued one in this morning for Sportsbet. So you'll be thrilled to know that England lost again last night and they got absolutely pounded.
And didn't Bast Bairstow's run partner got run out again?
Yeah.
Sucked in.
So funny. So England, they won the last World Cup, right? And it was in England. But so Sportsbet have a market, team to finish bottom of the World Cup. England won $26 yesterday. They're into $12. And like a market that we can all enjoy.
We can all enjoy. Yeah, look, chuck a sneaky fiver on that. It's imploding.
So good.
Pack her up, boys. Always brought to you by absolute legends over at Sportsbet. If you're going to have a punt, you do it with Sportsbet. They're the best in the biz. Best in the biz. Do it responsibly. Gamble responsibly. You win some, but you lose more. Let's get into, brought to you by Sportsbet, Australian debutantes.
Yep.
Hines, debut for Kiwis. Flegler, for Kiwis, for Kangaroos. Flegler for the Kangaroos. Holmes will come on for Cobbo. Travojevic to come in with Tino and Haas rested along with Liam Martin. Australia have both Grant and Hines on the bench. NZ 1-17. This is going to be an epic clash.
I said on Monday, Australia 13 plus. I am not only changing that.
I couldn't believe it when you guys were saying that.
Well, I think New Zealand are going to win.
Really?
Well, I think it's going to be very close, but I'm going to jump on them at $3 because
Oh, you reckon there's a bit of value there?
I reckon there's great value. I reckon they can definitely win. Tino and Haas are out. Like, I know we've still got great front rowers.
And Martin.
And Martin's out. And Kiwis are 1-17 from last game. I reckon they're a huge chance of winning.
Yeah.
Huge chance.
When you boys are all going 13 plus, I'm like, what? Are we looking at the same team sheets here or what?
Well, for some reason, I just didn't realise that they'd be resting all their players. I reckon at full strength, Australia could win 13 plus, but
I don't know, man. Leota and Fisher Harris have already somehow found a way to beat.
You are right, for sure.
Like, oh man, this is a good. They smashed Samoa 50
50-0.
nil.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It was probably, not thinking straight on Monday morning.
You know what I think it is? I think that because they were without a hooker, people didn't realise how good Foran would go there. And so the fact that I've seen Foran go well there now, it's like, oh shit. Whereas like if they had a hooker that wasn't going that well, you could be like, look, there's just nothing they can do. They're just not going to be as good. But Yeah, I reckon it's going to be a great clash.
I'm so pumped for it, and I truly believe. If you had gone to head, I would probably tip in New Zealand.
Really?
Just this weekend. Next week, I'll tip Australia.
Okay.
Full strength. But
Okay.
I think I'm tipping New Zealand this week.
Okay. England versus Tonga.
I reckon Tonga have value there as well, to be honest.
Cheesed me my comments of saying listening to the England commentary,
that, yeah.
super biased. Got some Pommies knickers in a knot.
Oh,
But I did
weren't
actually.
happy.
Oh mate, I got some some good a comment from on Instagram from a guy and he's polite about his disagreement. He wasn't fucking sooking like a little baby. Yeah. And he did bring up a really good point. He's like, listen, man, like the reason why they have to be so like pro England and pro not necessarily biased, but just pro England and excitable or whatever. It's because like they very rarely get an opportunity to showcase the game. I think it's on BBC One or something like that. And so what they're trying to do is to the 1 million people that are watching, 800,000 are watching, is like make them enjoy the game as much as possible. And they're the people that are watching are mainly English.
Yeah.
So that's why it is kind of like that.
For sure.
Because I said on the podcast as well, I don't mind the actual commentary. I think their commentary is good. It was just like, it was just like you could hear it was biased. But like to be clear, and like that was just an off the cuff chat. Like it's not like I sit there going, I can't. This is terrible. Yeah. But sometimes I forget how many people listen to the podcast. So like it doesn't bother me that much. It was just something that I noted.
And isn't it funny that like, I reckon part of that, because I totally agree. Like England commentators, they piss me off as well. But New Zealand commentators, when they're biased, which they are, I love it. I think it's sick.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because one's England and one's New Zealand.
But you got to remember how it came up though, because what I said was initially it made me think, are we this biased?
Yeah.
Do people listen to Australian commentators and go far out there biased? That's how it come up.
True.
Because that's what it made me think. It'd go far out. Do English, do Pommies and Kiwis listen to us talk footy and go, fuck, these guys are biased. And because we're Aussie, we don't know it.
For sure. To be fair, I do see a lot of comments from Kiwis, typical Aussie bias, so maybe.
The Warriors do cop some like...
Oh, they do, yeah.
Some pretty like rough commentary. You go, what the hell?
They really do. Just on interesting point you make about how many people listen to the podcast. I always forget that new people listen all the time. Like I just forget that.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a punters and dribblers post from Scotty Bellotti, and someone commented, and like one of them was me with like scissoring, and someone was like, "Can someone explain the Matty and scissors thing?" And I'm like, "Fuck, wow!" I mean, to be fair, it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years. It was fucking nearly 3 years ago.
My missus saw that and she's like, "It's a joke that has to die."
Oh, best joke ever.
That was so funny.
Because like for listeners, that our biggest episode this year was 100,000.
Yep.
Like, so it's just us sitting in a room here.
Yeah.
If we had a stadium of 100,000 people, we would. Look, we wouldn't change what we say, but it's a different energy.
For sure.
It's a different energy. And that's what's so good about podcasts. It feels like, you're driving right now. It feels like you're in the room with the boys and we're just fucking chopping it up. We're just talking shit. So that's what's great about it. But when you're in the podcast, you don't realize that there are tens and tens and tens of thousands of people.
For sure. It just feels like we're all just... I reckon even live shows are slightly different.
It's just different energy.
Yeah.
I remember the first live show that we did, like I tried to talk normally and I was like, the energy is just weird. Like I tried to be calm and I'm like, no, you can't do that in live shows. You need to be, high energy, because they're sitting around, they want to be entertained. So you just forget that with podcasting. You're just sitting there,
For sure.
just chewing the fat, talking shit, and there's so many people listening. So, but 100,000 downloads for an episode.
How crazy is that, eh?
That's so insane.
Like the whole AFL grand final. Like the whole crowd.
The whole crowd, that's of people listening to us talk nonsense. Crazy.
Wild, isn't it?
And like, an average of, anywhere from 70 to 80,000 like per Monday episode.
Per Monday, yeah. Yeah.
Like that's an Accor stadium per episode.
It's ridiculous. When you really think, I heard Dill Buckley talk about this, when you really think about because it's just a number when you look at it. But if you think about it as people,
a whole person.
It's crazy.
80,000 whole people.
Yeah.
Like with their own lives, doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Just it's funny the amount of people that like I run into and they're like, holy shit, like I'm hearing you speak in real life. this is what you're a person. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, bro. That's what's doing. It's on the beat. What's going on, bro?
Oh, so funny. So cool.
Anyway, but incredibly grateful though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Fuck. Luckiest. I tell you one thing in this workplace, you'd never hear anyone complain. Now maybe that's because I walk in here looking shitty all the time. But if I did hear people complain, I'd be like, mate, pull your head in, son.
Nah, no way.
I've worked actual jobs. I've worked actual jobs.
Yeah.
Like, so there's jobs and there's actual jobs, and I think physical labor is actual jobs.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying office jobs aren't hard, but office jobs, there can be a tendency to like do some work, chill out. Do
Yeah.
some work, chill out. But like, working in a coal terminal where phones aren't allowed and you are working, woe to go. Like you rock in from 7 till I think it's like 10. You go in for 15 minutes, you have your feed, you boom, you straight back out there from 10:30 or whatever till 1. Have your feed, boom, straight back out, and then 1 till 5 or whatever you end up working. There's no phones out chilling, fucking talk, like none of that. It's just work. And if like a supervisor walks past you and he sees you're not working, he's coming over to you going, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Jesus.
And like covered in coal and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure there's I definitely know there are way harder jobs than that. So when I compare that kind of work to this, I'm like, this can't be classed as work.
I don't class it.
I don't class podcasting as work.
No, not a chance.
There's not a single time where I come into podcast and I'm like, oh, I've got to go to work.
Seriously, same.
Yeah.
Same. It's funny. Like Mondays are easily our biggest day, and like, I don't mean to sound like a fuckwit, but like on Sunday nights when everyone hates, I'm actually like, oh sweet. If we've got a good show coming, I'm pumped.
Yeah, and that's why we know we're lucky as anything. And like people always go, oh, yeah, but you worked hard. I'm like, yeah, but I was lucky to be born in this country. I was lucky to be born with the parents that I had. I was lucky that I went left instead of right. Like there's so many things that you don't have control over that lead you to a point of making this decision.
Yeah.
Like me personally, just my personal belief, I don't even think free will exists. I don't think it does. Think about it. Okay, let's go thought process here.
Okay.
What makes you make a decision? Okay, so like think about like when you're like, what are you thinking about right now?
Well, I'm going to say next.
Like, okay, so but what are you thinking about?
Right now?
Yeah.
Switching these fucking things right.
Okay. What made you think that? Like, are you deciding to think those thoughts, or are they just coming into your head?
they just happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like autopilot.
But so that's what I'm saying is like when you're driving the car and a thought comes into your head, oh, I've got to change the tires on my car.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, true. I get what you're saying. It
It's
just comes out of nowhere.
It's just a series of events that led you up to that moment. That's all it is. Like you don't okay, for example, where did the thought come from for me to start bloke? Did I really decide to, like I did decide to do it, but did I choose to decide to do it? Like, or did an idea come to my head and I thought, oh, that's a good decision to take?
So,
and then also what prompted me to say yes rather than no?
So you're saying that like, you're just lucky that entered your head.
I'm lucky that everything culminated in my life for that to come into my head.
Gotcha. Now I see what you mean.
So like all of the events from woe to go as a human being, like every single moment just leads you to the next moment.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, I'm deciding to do this, but what made you, think about the thought before deciding to do that.
That's a great point, because I'm sure a lot of people think about sliding doors, big sliding doors moments in their life, but everything's a sliding doors moment to everything.
Everything was
the butterfly effect.
Me saying this word right now, what made me do that?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing behind that.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I don't think free will exists.
Yeah.
That's why, of course, then you'd go, well, then we're never going to be responsible for anything we do. No, I'm not saying that, because that's what that would be the argument against it. Like, well, then you're not responsible for anything you do. It's like, no, you can still, like, you're still responsible for your actions.
Yeah, for sure.
So just because you don't know where it came from or free will doesn't exist doesn't mean you can't be held accountable for what you're doing. But I don't know. I don't know if free will does exist. I don't know. I think that you're just a culmination of everything that happens in your life, and then you react to that.
Yeah.
how you would react to that.
I mean, you've convinced. It's fairly convincing.
To be
argument.
honest, bro, way smarter people than me think free will exists. So
Okay.
just fucking, I'm just my opinion. Just my opinion.
It's a good
Anyway.
point. Interesting. What were we talking about?
We'll go and fuck ourselves. Have a good weekend.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.